Prices usually dance after the 4th of July, but summer 2025 is lining up a perfect storm. Rail contracts expire on June 30th, drought-shrunken harvests from last season finally reach distribution centers, and a fresh round of import inspections begins July 1st. That timeline leaves a narrow, blinking window where ordinary pantry staples could vanish or double in cost between one grocery run and the next. Yet, the items most likely to disappear aren't bottled water or ramen. They're the everyday afterthoughts that hold recipes and routines together. The oil that seasons your skillet, the spice that keeps bland beans edible, the freezer goods that stretch a paycheck when produce wilts. Stock them now, and July feels like another barbecue month. Wait, and you'll be chasing half-empty shelves while prices rewrite themselves overnight at self-checkout. We're counting down 10 quiet essentials you'll wish you'd grabbed by the case before that calendar page flips. Subscribe now so July surprises stay on the newsfeed, not in your cart. Number 1. Canned coconut milk. Canned coconut milk sits low on the Asian foods shelf, an unassuming silver cylinder squeezed between soy sauce and bamboo shoots. Most shoppers treat it as a dessert luxury, something for occasional curries, maybe a Sunday smoothie. Its barcode rarely touches the scanner unless a YouTuber reminds everyone to try homemade Thai soup. That obscurity is exactly why it's poised to become a sudden headache in early July. Imports account for nearly every drop sold in U.S. stores, and 92% of those cans enter through West Coast ports that begin a new round of phytosanitary inspections on July 1st. The USDA directive, announced quietly in March, adds pulp testing to screen for rhinoceros beetle eggs hiding in husks. Every container must now sit in a sealed warehouse for lab clearance before trucks roll east. Port analysts estimate the extra dwell time at 14 days. Wholesalers running just-in-time schedules carry only 7. Coconut milk isn't just a flavor upgrade. It's a shelf-stable fat source that fills in when butter spoils and cooking oil runs thin. One 14-ounce can delivers 14 grams of saturated fat and medium-chain triglycerides that fry potatoes, enrich coffee, or stretch rice into porridge without refrigeration. Lose that option, and you rely on fragile dairy or overpriced single-serve oil packets that vanish first whenever supply wobble meets heat wave cooking demand. Remember the toilet paper scramble of 2020? Substitute stock for sauce this time. Home cooks arriving after July 4th may find the shelf faced with sparkling water to hide the gap, or discover the price of remaining cans has doubled thanks to air freight stopgaps. Recipe flexibility shrinks. Vegetarian dishes taste austere. Morning oatmeal reverts to plain water and salt. Pro tip: stash 12 cans per household member, roughly 1 per month plus a cushion. Choose cartons stamped product of Sri Lanka when possible. That country ships through East Coast ports, bypassing the beetle inspection. Store upside down in a cool pantry. The cream rises, and you can skim it for frying while pouring the lighter liquid into coffee, extending each can's utility. Rotate yearly by planning a winter curry week. Should supply lines recover early, nothing is wasted. Cans keep 5 years, and coconut cream whips into desserts that taste like vacation rather than rationing. In the worst scenario, though, your foresight transforms a humble ingredient into trade leverage. A neighbor missing a latte fix will gladly swap fresh eggs or garden zucchini for the silky richness only coconut can provide. Number 2. Instant active dry yeast packets. 3 tiny foil packets pressed together on a cardboard strip rarely feel strategic. Most home bakers keep a spare trio in the drawer, confident a fresh strip will always be waiting beside the flour. July 2025 threatens that assumption. The Midwest's cool weather wheat crop suffered an unseasonable damp spring, spiking the incidence of fusarium fungus. Milling companies are diverting clean grain to high-margin commercial bakeries first, a shuffle that forces yeast manufacturers who bundle small packets with retail bread machine flour to cut back consumer-size runs until lab tests clear the new harvest in late summer. Factory executives slipped the warning into a shareholder call. Sachet output could drop by 40% for 6 to 8 weeks, with priority given to 1-pound vacuum bricks destined for industrial clients. Grocery buyers weren't alarmed. Bread demand usually dips in grilling season. Yet the moment a heat wave erases refrigerated dough and hamburger buns from shelves, home ovens become the fallback, and that's when individual packets turn to gold. Active dry yeast isn't just for sourdough daydreams, it's a calorie multiplier. One 7-gram packet raises 4 pounds of dough into loaves, pizza crusts, or fried flatbreads that extend pantry beans into complete meals. Without it, you're either nursing a tricky sourdough starter in 90-degree kitchens or sacrificing precious baking powder, an exchange rate no one wants when morning pancakes also depend on that can. Shelf life is a stealth advantage. Vac-sealed yeast holds peak power 2 years at room temperature temperature, 5 years in a freezer. Buy 8 strips now, slip them into a mason jar with a silica packet, and forget them. Even if July's bottleneck eases early, you've locked in future pizza nights at 2024 prices while inflation nibbles baking aisles. Usage hack. Proof a quarter teaspoon in warm water before committing a whole packet. If bubbles form, you're good. That stretches each sachet to 3 or 4 baking sessions. Critical if resupply drags past August. Should neighbors miss their cinnamon roll tradition, one fresh packet becomes barter leverage for garden tomatoes or generator time. Rotate stock by marking lids with a Sharpie month year. Bake a batch of rolls every March and replace what you used. Those fragrant loaves will remind you why a dollar store strip of yeast isn't pantry fluff, but edible insurance sitting quietly between the cumin and the cocoa. Number 3, 1-gallon jugs of neutral cooking oil. A squat plastic jug of canola or vegetable oil rarely makes headlines. It's a workhorse ingredient that quietly squeaks out of skillets, stretches boxed mac and cheese, and greases cake pans. July 2025 may expose how fragile that workhorse really is. 3 factors collide on the first of the month. 1, Midwest refineries will temporarily shut sections for federally mandated biodiesel upgrades. 2, Brazil's soybean harvest, hammered by late-season drought, will ship 15% less raw oil to U.S. blenders. And 3, Pacific tanker berths handling Indonesian palm oil enter a rotation of safety dredging that halves throughput until mid-August. Individually, these hiccups sound minor. Together, they pinch America's cheap oil pipeline for 6 critical summer weeks. The shock never starts in the baking aisle. It appears first at the fry station. National fast food chains lock in futures contracts years ahead, so bottlers divert inventory to keep drive-through fryers bubbling. Supermarkets inherit the leftovers, often bulk oil in 50-pound cubes that can't be poured into household bottles without specialized gear. When shelf slots empty, shoppers grab whatever remains. Tiny 12-ounce pours at gourmet prices or flavored olive oils that smoke at 350 degrees and ruin French toast Saturdays. Suddenly, that neglected gallon jug becomes the unsung MVP of home menus. Cooking oil isn't merely for sautéing onions. It's high-density calories at 120 per tablespoon, vital when heat waves throttle appetites and refrigeration falters. A cup of beans smashed into patties, fried in a quarter-inch of oil, delivers twice the usable energy of the same beans boiled. Oil also preserves, submerge garden herbs or grilled peppers in a jar, and seal with a 1/4-inch film. Without oxygen, mold stalls and flavors deepen, buying weeks of shelf life when produce drawers sweat. Shelf life worries many cooks, but sealed jugs last a solid 18 months in a dark closet. Add 4 gallons per household member and mark the cap Rotate John 2026. Use the oldest bottle each time you open a new bag of flour. Rotation bakes freshness into habit. If you fear rancidity, slip a square of painter's plastic under the cap to slow oxygen seep. Barter math is compelling. 1 unopened gallon equals about 16 half-cup portions of deep fryer oil. In a July cookout season starved of neutral fats, that single jug trades for fresh eggs, freezer space on a neighbor's generator, or precious yeast packets you missed before item 2 sold out. Stock it, stack it low to avoid sunlight, and sleep easy. Because few things deflate morale faster than pancakes glued to an ungreased skillet while power bills tick but stovetops stay cold. Number 4, shelf-stable UHT milk cartons, 32 Oz Tetra packs. The blocky cartons live on the bottom shelf beside almond milk, ignored until a road trip or hurricane season sparks a one-time purchase. Most shoppers assume real milk means refrigerated gallons. The shelf-stable stuff feels like astronaut food. But July 2025 lines up 3 bottlenecks that could turn these humble bricks into white gold overnight. Bottleneck stack. First, the country's 2 biggest aseptic packaging plants, both in Texas, start a 3-week line retrofit on July 1st to comply with the EPA's new PFAS-free coating rule. At the same time, the only North American supplier of the 6-layer paperboard used in Tetra packs will idle 1 paper machine for annual turbine work. Finally, summer camps and disaster relief agencies place their bulk orders on July 5th, pulling tens of thousands of cases into institutional warehouses just as grocery flow constricts. Result, retail shelves face a month-long gap precisely when heat waves curdle fridge milk in hours. Nutritional punch. Unlike plant milks, shelf-stable dairy delivers 8 grams of complete protein and 30% of daily calcium per cup, critical for kids and older adults when fresh produce wilts. The ultra-high temperature process kills spores but leaves taste intact. Open a carton and keep it in the fridge 7 days, plenty to stretch cereal breakfasts or cream sauces during rolling blackouts. Cooking edge. Powdered milk works in bread dough but clumps in coffee. UHT pours smoothie into mashed potatoes. Box box mac and cheese, even yeast proofing. Remember item 2. Add a splash to canned tomato soup, and it morphs into bisque without burning because the proteins were pre-denatured. Storage math. Cartons lie flat like books. 1 cubic foot stacks 12 quarts, equivalent to 3 gallons but with 0 refrigeration load. Mark the tops use by and rotate every 9 months. Flavor only drifts after a year, still safe for baking. Keep a rubber band wrapped around each open carton so improvised reseals withstand cooler jostling. Barter power. When neighbors run out of creamer and kids beg for cereal milk, a single unopened quart trades for 2 cans of beans or a gallon of tap water filtered through someone else's dwindling filters. Camp kitchens offer hotter deals. 1 case earns weekend generator charging slots for your phone and battery bank. Grab a dozen quarts now, about the price of 1 drive-through combo, and store them in the darkest corner of the pantry. If July's triple choke point fizzles, you've still locked in winter cocoa nights at last year's price. If shelves sit empty, you'll pour cold milk while others stir powdered lumps and wish cartons weren't just cardboard memories. Number 5. Canned diced tomatoes. 14.5 Oz BPA-free cans. Red cans line an entire aisle, so no one imagines a shortage. Yet tomatoes are uniquely vulnerable to July's overlapping shocks. California's processing crop supplies more than a third of the world's diced tomatoes, and the state's 2025 water allocation cut begins on July 1st. Growers forced to follow acreage have already warned packers they'll deliver 18% less tonnage. At the same moment, Italy's Emilia-Romagna region, the EU's second-largest tomato basin, is fighting a virulent brown rugose virus that slashes yields and triggers stricter U.S. import testing effective July 3rd. With supply throttled on both sides of the Atlantic, canneries will prioritize high-margin pizza sauce contracts, leaving retail diced tomatoes to run thin by mid-month. Why does that matter? Diced tomatoes are the flavor and acid base for everything from chili to shakshuka, but they're also a quiet nutrition powerhouse. One can supply half your daily vitamin C, a quarter of vitamin A, and, thanks to heat-activated lycopene, more antioxidant punch than raw tomatoes. When July blackouts make fresh produce spoil in hours, shelf-safe vegetables become essential against scurvy-level nutrient gaps. Versatility is off the charts. Simmer a can with beans and salt for instant meatless stew, puree with UHT milk. Item 4, for creamy bisque, or drain and dehydrate in a solar oven to create chewy, sun-dried nuggets that store like jerky. The can's juice doubles as acidic liquid for proofing yeast, item 2, when water is scarce. Its pH jumpstarts fermentation while adding potassium. Storage is mindless. Stack cases no higher than 4 to avoid seamstress and keep below 85 degf. Modern BPA-free linings hold flavor 24 months. After that, taste dulls but remains safe if the lid stays flat. Rotate by scheduling Red Sauce Week every spring. 7 dinners clear 1 flat and remind you to restock before high-heat shipping season. Barter leverage surfaces quickly. Gardeners drowning in zucchini will swap pounds for 1 can of diced tomatoes that turns their glut into ratatouille. Camp cooks at community shelters trade battery packs or labor shifts for a bright sauce that revives bland rice. Pro tip, choose fire-roasted labels now. The charred flavor means you won't miss fresh grill marks when burn bans follow the drought. A single dollar today secures summer color, winter vitamin insurance, and hard currency barter when the aisle glows empty. Stock 10 cans per person, roughly a year of monthly recipes, and July's double squeeze becomes just another headline, not a culinary crisis. Number 6. Natural peanut butter. 16 Oz plastic jars. Peanut butter looks as permanent as the bread aisle it lives beside, but 2 supply kinks are timed to July 2025. First, last autumn's white mold outbreak in Georgia and Alabama, regions that grow over half of U.S. peanuts, cut yields by 13%. Shellers have been emptying cold storage reserves to keep shelves full through spring, yet USDA projections show those stockpiles dipping below the pipeline minimum on 30th of June. Second, the Louisiana petrochemical corridor that produces the HDPE resin for most peanut butter jars starts a 4-week cracker overhaul on 1st July, slicing fresh jar availability just as processors face tighter peanut tonnage. Brands will solve their contract obligations by shrinking supermarket variety, think chunky disappearing first, while hiking prices on the jars that remain. Nutrition turns that shrink into a real hardship. 2 tablespoons carry 7 grams of plant protein, 16 grams of energy-dense fat, vitamin E, magnesium, and a hit of folate, nutrients hard to find when refrigeration falters and fresh meat spoils. Spread on pantry crackers or whisked into shelf-stable coconut milk. Item 1. A single jar can anchor 20,500 calories of no-cook meals during a multi-day blackout. Stir with soy sauce and canned tomatoes. Item 5. And you've hacked a West African stew without turning on an oven. Storage is foolproof. Unopened jars stay fresh a full year at room temperature. Place upside down and oils migrate upward, reducing stir time when hunger strikes. Heat waves accelerate rancidity, so keep cases on a concrete floor rather than attic rafters. Aim for 4 jars per household member, 1 per quarter plus a margin for barter. Cooking versatility shines past toast. Blend 2 spoonfuls with water into protein dip for dehydrated veggies. Roll oats through it for no-bake energy bites, or thin with UHT milk. Item 4. For an emergency sauté sauce that rescues bland rice. Even the empty jar serves. Rinse, fill with salt. Item 10. And snap the lid for a rodent-proof shaker. Barter math becomes striking once shelves taper. Parents facing protein-averse kids will swap backyard eggs, fresh herbs, or generator ice for a familiar spread that keeps tantrums and blood sugar stable. Outdoor labor crews will trade tool time for a jar that transforms cold beans into peanut chili powder bowls. Pro tip: buy natural versions containing only peanuts and salt. Sugar-laced spreads burn fast in summer heat and spike insulin before chores are finished. Mark lids with a bold U, upside stored, to remind yourself of rotation. When July's double squeeze hits and crunchy disappears completely, you'll smear smooth sanity on crackers, untouched by the price shock rattling everyone else's snack routine. Number 7. Natural peanut butter, 16 Oz plastic jars. Peanut butter seems as common as sliced bread, but July 2025 lines up a double squeeze that could empty the spread aisle overnight. A white mold outbreak in Georgia and Alabama, home to more than half of U.S. peanut acreage, cut the last harvest by 13%. Shellers have been working through cold storage reserves, yet USDA balance sheets show those reserves dipping below pipeline minimum on 30th June. At virtually the same moment, a scheduled 4-week maintenance shutdown hits the Louisiana plant that makes most of the plastic jars. With raw nuts tighter and packaging limited, processors will keep their contracts with big food service buyers first, leaving shoppers to fight over whatever hits retail pallets. Historically, that translates to fewer varieties. Chunky and honey blends disappear first, and a price jump of 40 to 60 cents per jar within 10 days. Once 4th of July cookouts wipe out hot dog buns and cold cuts, households pivot to peanut butter sandwiches, accelerating the shelf drain just as distributors warn stores to expect partial orders. Nutrition makes the shortage serious. 2 tablespoons supply 7 grams of complete protein, 16 grams of calorie-dense fat, vitamin E, magnesium, and folate, nutrients that stay stable in summer heat when meat turns sour and cheese sweats to waste. One 16-ounce jar delivers an easy 2,500 calories with no cooking fuel, meaning 4 jars per person cover a blackout week of breakfasts and between-meal morale boosts. Mix a spoonful into oats, ramen broth, or UHT milk for sauté sauce. Instant flavor and sustained energy. Storage is simple. Natural varieties containing only peanuts and salt last 12 months unopened. Stash upside down in a cool closet so the oil migrates to the bottom, making later stirring painless. If summer attic temps exceed 95 degrees, drop the case under a bed instead. Label lids with a Sharpie month year and plan a winter bake sale day to rotate the oldest inventory into cookies or protein balls. Barter outlook is strong. Parents with picky eaters or athletes craving protein will trade garden zucchini, farm eggs, or even generator fuel for a jar once shelves stay bare a week. Keep 1 spare case for leverage. The familiar brown smear on bread comforts better than exotic freeze-dried meals and costs you less than 1 drive-through combo today. Finally, don't overlook the jar itself. Wash and refill with salt, yeast, or homemade ghee. The wide mouth seals tight, rodents can't chew it, and the label instantly signals previous contents. Each jar you buy now keeps paying dividends long after the last sticky scrape is gone. Number 8. Old-fashioned rolled oats, 42 Oz canisters. The familiar cardboard drum of oats feels recession-proof, cheap, shelf-stable, and always stacked high near breakfast cereals. July 2025 could flip that certainty. Canada's prairie provinces, source of roughly 70% of U.S. milling oats, suffered a late spring drought followed by a record heat dome that trimmed yields an estimated 15%. In normal seasons, that shortfall would be padded with imports from Scandinavia, but the EU's July 1st enforcement of stricter glyphosate residue limits means every inbound U.S. shipment gets additional sampling. Delays of 10 to 14 days at East Coast ports will coincide with summer camp and daycare contracts that gulp bulk oatmeal for snack programs. Result, retail shelves absorb the squeeze. Why care? Rolled oats deliver a rare mix of slow-burn carbs, soluble fiber, beta-glucan, and 7 grams of protein per half cup dry. In a blackout, they cook with nothing more than hot tap water left in a tank or soak overnight into no-cook porridge, making them one of the few pantry items that feed toddlers and seniors alike without fuel. They're also a stretcher. Grind into flour for pancakes when wheat runs short, or mix with canned tomatoes, item 5, and spices to bulk meatloaf when ground beef triples in price. Shelf life sealed reaches 2 years. Add a bay leaf or oxygen absorber and you push 3. The cylindrical shape packs tightly in closet corners, and the plastic lid reseals after each scoop, keeping weevils out even in humid kitchens. Aim for 3 canisters per person, about 40 breakfasts or 20 main dish extenders each. Then mark lids, rotate June 2026. Versatility spreads further. Blitz oats in a coffee grinder for baby cereal. Toast dry in a cast iron pan and steep like barley tea. Mix with peanut butter, item 6, and honey for no-bake energy bars that hold shape in July heat. You can even use oat milk, 1 cup oats to 4 cups water, blended and strained, as a creamer substitute if UHT cartons, item 4, sell out. Barter value leaps once cereal aisles empty. Parents longing for familiar breakfasts will trade fresh lettuce, backyard eggs, or generator ice for 1 drum that keeps kids full until school cafeterias reopen. Pro tip, choose store brands stamped product of USA and Canada blended rather than single origin Scandinavian oats. Blended lots clear customs faster, cushioning supply. Buy during June promotions, stash low to avoid attic heat, and your July mornings stay calm while rice blowouts and cereal markups batter everyone else's budget. Number 9. Long grain white rice, 10 plob polybags. Few foods feel as abundant or as boring as the knee-high wall of rice bags in every supermarket. Yet that mountain could erode fast when July 2025 arrives. India, which supplies about 40% of global rice exports, has already extended its 20% export duty through June 30th and signaled a complete ban on non-basmati shipments beginning July 1st to control domestic inflation before national elections. Vietnam and Thailand typically backfill U.S. demand, but both committed most of their 2025 crop to Middle East tenders that finalized the first week of July, leaving little tonnage for late summer spot orders. West Coast ports, meanwhile, will juggle record grain traffic as Pacific soybean vessels reroute to avoid Gulf hurricane insurance surcharges, creating berth congestion right as remaining rice shipment windows close. Translation: the dependable 10-pound bag may disappear or leap $1 per pound in a fortnight. White rice isn't just filler, it's calorie density in near bulletproof form, about 16,000 calories per bag, with a shelf life measured in decades if kept dry. In a blackout, 2 cups simmer to fluffy grains on a single tea-light stove, converting minimal fuel into a warm meal that pairs with every other pantry item we've stockpiled. Stir in canned coconut milk, item 1, for quick kheer, mix with diced tomatoes, item 5, and spices for red rice, or fry yesterday's leftovers in peanut oil, item 3, for a protein-packed skillet. The mild flavor also stretches stronger foods. 1 tablespoon of precious peanut butter, item 6, turns plain grains into sauté bowls that hold hunger for hours. Storage is frictionless. Slide full bags into 5-gallon painter's buckets, add a bay leaf and an oxygen absorber, then snap the lid. Vermin can't chew the food-grade plastic and humidity stays out even if basement temps rise. Mark lids open 2027 and forget them. When rotation day comes, rinse rice under cool water and flavor with salt, item 10, to revive taste dulled by time. Barter value skyrockets once boxed pastas vanish. They require more water and cooking time. A single pound of rice converts to 4 adult servings and trades easily for fresh produce, tea-light candles, or yeast packets. Pro tip, choose long grain over jasmine or sushi varieties. It tolerates hard water and inconsistent heat, 2 realities of grid-down kitchens. Secure 3 10-pound bags per household member while they're still piled waist-high, and July's export dominoes fall quietly in someone else's pantry, not yours. When shelves look full, it's easy to forget how tightly the world's food system is wound. A drought in Alberta here, a port dredging schedule there, and suddenly the corner store feels 1,000 miles away. The 10 staples we just walked through, coconut milk, yeast, neutral oil, UHT milk, diced tomatoes, peanut butter, oats, rice, and more, aren't luxury prepper items. They're the everyday links that hold recipes, nutrition, and morale together when fresh options spoil and prices sprint ahead of paychecks. Stocking them now costs a few quiet dollars and a bit of closet space. Skipping them could mean juggling bland substitutions, paying panic pricing, or trading real needs for familiar comforts once July's bottlenecks bite. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's placing small bets on certainty while life is still quiet, so future disruptions feel like inconveniences, not emergencies. Stay ready, stay steady, subscribe for weekly briefings that turn food headlines into simple, affordable action.